Question: which one of these artists was His Imperial Majesty favorite artist? Just want to know if you all know. Inbox me and let me know which one of these artists do you think was the king favorite artist.
I'm sitting here in the middle of the night right now, just having a reason within myself. And the reason why I pose certain questions on this platform, because this platform is the Pan-African Ancient Council. This is a Pan-African platform. It's not dedicated to one certain part of blackness. The distance that we have between the things that we praise and the things that we sing to, because I would like to know if people, man and woman in themselves, man, woman, and children, what would be the individual I who see Haile Selassie and Rastafari is the creator of life on this planet. What would be the conversation that you would have with Haile Selassie if you were to be able to speak to him in person, one-on-one? Like, what would be the first thing you would say to him? Those are questions that should be asked, So while you be all in this thing, like what would your conversation be? What would you ask if you had the opportunity to meet Haile Selassie in person? And what would you ask Haile Selassie? What would you ask him? Like, what would Your Majesty? What is your favorite reggae band? Do you think he would? But to some people, when you get to the thing about this not being inside this illusion and this, I don't know what it is, marijuana high or something, but do anybody ever has any man or any woman ever asked to think what reggae song did Rastafari play? What reggae song did Haile Selassie play when he was in Ethiopia? Reggae was still popular until 1975. Did Haile Selassie play reggae inside of the castle, inside the palace and things like that? And for the reggae singers who sing about His Majesty, the reggae singers who sing about Haile Selassie, what song would you have sung in front of him? If he was to invite you to the palace, hypothetically speaking, which song would you have sang to Haile Selassie in front of his face? The other question is that what man and woman, Rasta people, what would each of the item, what would they have asked His Majesty if they had the opportunity, hypothetically speaking, to speak with His Majesty and the way Kwame Nkrumah did, the way Jomo Kenyatta did, the way people had actual conversations, they had actual real dialogue. They wasn't sitting in La La Land. So the people who, even the people, everybody, every Rasta person who see His Majesty or Rastafari, what are the questions and what are the conversations that each eye in his own self would have been having with His Majesty? Not in no prayer. I'm not talking about no prayer. I ain't talking about closing your eyes. I'm saying if you were to be able to talk to His Majesty, or even meet His Majesty the way Mortimer Plano did, what was the conversation about? What was the conversation about? Was it about affirming something that I already thought in my mind already? Or was it about asking the real question? Because affirming something in your mind and using the outer appearance of something to fit into your own reality in your mind already, that's not proving that ain't answering no question, and that ain't getting no truth behind anything. So I want to bring it back to the basics. I want to bring it back down to the earth. So if the people, right, in the roster, people who hail Rastafari with saying thanks and all this stuff like that, the people who do that stuff like that, when they would have met His Majesty, if they had met His Majesty, if they had met Haile Selassie, Rastafari, if they had met the Emperor of Ethiopia, how and what kind of conversation would they have had with him? Would they have been singing songs? Would they offered Haile Selassie to hit hit the chalice with them? I mean, what would have been the dialogue then? Because we can keep all these things in our mind and keep this stuff all, because we don't have to, I mean, because one day you don't have to deal with that stuff. So I'm saying, so now when you look at stuff that way, look at the reality look at that reality. Look at that reality. If the I-Am, any man or woman, had an opportunity to meet Rastafari and to meet Haile Selassie the First, the Emperor of Ethiopia, if you had a chance to meet him, what conversation would you have had with him? That's what I really want to know. Would you have asked him about reggae music? Would you say that what reggae band you like the most? Who's your favorite reggae artist? Would you have asked him about what would the conversation be about? What would have the conversation been about? Some people ain't got no answer, because they don't want to deal with that stuff like that on regular, real, down-to-earth terms. It's easy to be in this thing where you do this praise thing and this prayer stuff and all this other stuff like this, because you don't have to answer for none of that stuff no way. Nobody's not going to question you back that stuff. So Selassie not going to question you and say, why are you praising me? Or why? These things, and I'm saying whatever you do, that's your personal business. You're right. But I'm talking about when you involve this thing and make this thing like it's some kind of black thing, when it's not no black thing. These are all people in their own individual thoughts, in their own individual egotistical ways, in their own mental instability ways. These are all part of that stuff. This has nothing to do with no collective black Pan-Africanism. This has nothing to do with none of that stuff. These people got more in common with people in any other religion around the world. So this is what I'm saying. Man, the struggle is not monopolized. You can't monopolize this black struggle, okay? And the black struggle don't have nothing to do with no thing called no God. No matter what you tell yourself, no black struggle had nothing to do with no thing called no God. You're not suffering on this planet because it's a thing called, you're suffering on this fucking planet from people with 2 arms and 2 legs and 2 eyes just like you. And if you call yourself a guy, it's the same thing. It's the same thing. I don't understand what's to keep harping on this stuff for, and showing these pictures of something, talking about how this is not a picture. I'm saying to anyone who believes and thinks that way, okay, I believe you. Haile Selassie is the creator of the earth and the trees and everything else. I'm saying, so now what? But this is where some stuff got drifted off at. Okay, so now what? Yeah, those are just real questions. I would think that, you know what I'm saying, when somebody want to ask this, that should be a thing that somebody goes to, that should be something that should be asked, When you're dealing with reality, if you're dealing with reality and not no stuff out of it, if you're dealing with reality, that should be a thing that should be asked. If somebody would just go around and say, what would you have said to His Majesty? What would you have spoken to him about? Because it takes all this it takes all this other stuff out the picture and it makes stuff get real. When Kwame and Nkrumah, when Jomo Kenyatta, when the African presidents and when dignitaries in the United States were sitting down and talking to His Majesty, sometimes he spoke English and sometimes he had translated. What do you think they was talking about? I mean, what do you think that the everyday average? I just would like to know. I would like to know if this is it just boggles my mind. I would like to hear like some of the questions that some people who it's easier to find somebody when the same people who yell out Rastafari and God Almighty and all these other stuff like that. If you had your opportunity to sit down with Haile Selassie, what would you be talking about? What would you ask him? The first thing in your mind, what would you ask him? So getting that close into reality, sometimes it makes too much sense now when you ask that reality stuff like that. Because I'm saying, this last video poses the same stuff. It's the same thing all over again. It doesn't make any difference. To me, I'm speaking for myself. Like I'm saying, in this Pan-African platform, it don't make no difference to somebody who knows Jesus looked like, how somebody looked like today. I don't understand how people don't understand. If this thing called Jesus came 2,000 years ago, like some people say, and slavery happened 500 years ago, what the fuck difference? Excuse my language, what difference does that mean? I don't understand. If all of these different religious figures and all these different paintings and artifacts and all these different artifacts and lalabella, all these different things like that, if none of that stuff stopped black people, in the Western world from enduring and still enduring atrocities of slavery and poverty now, of constantly have to fucking work, if none of that stuff affected that, how you trying to make me feel like I'm supposed to believe it or look at that stuff there and have some kind of special affection for it? Like, well, how the fuck did that affect my life? How did any of that stuff how did any of these religious figures and these religious paintings and all this different other stuff, how did that affect the situation that black people are in today? This is what I'm trying to figure out. What part? This is if all of those things happened already, and your grandparents and great grandparents had to suffer worse than any other people, had to pay for this. Had to build this whole damn Western world pretty much, and still don't get credit for it, and still gotta work still. And it's to keep on regurgitating the past and doing all of this different stuff like that. Like it take all that to understand that. Man, okay, no, I'm gonna put it like this. Okay, do God know that black people are suffering? That's what I want to understand. Do this thing called God know this? And he just waiting. He on a battery charger somewhere. He got to get charged up, and then once his battery get full, then he gonna come back and get all the other people he created to stop hurting other people he created. What kind of... The thing with the God stuff is that what do people think God's supposed to do? What is God waiting for? Is what I'm saying to these people. If this guy sat back and let slavery happen, first of all, and then this guy sat back and let people make guns, and this guy sat back and let people make nuclear bombs, this guy sat back and let all that stuff happen like that. But I'm saying, but the worst thing that happened in this whole thing was this dude supposed to be being killed. That's supposed to have been the worst. But atrocities 1,000,000 times worse than that happened. What is this thing called God waiting for? Is what I'm trying to find out. This thing called God is waiting for what? To make this stuff the way that some people think that this thing called God says it's supposed to be. So somehow this thing called God lost its power, and now it's got to beg. But this is why none of this stuff this stuff like this right here is like, this is the same old. Haile Selassie being crowned in Ethiopia did not put no money in no Black American account, and it didn't get no Black American no free home, and it didn't get no Black American no opportunity. It didn't do anything for Black people, but it inspired. I'm saying it's like a song. You know what I'm saying? It inspired our inside. It gave us pride as far as that kind of thing like that. It didn't affect no laws on no books and none of that stuff like that. When people tell themselves, when they say these words, when they repeat this stuff and regurgitate this stuff and they say it with a stronger voice, all these different things like this, and say they Haile Selassie Haile Selassie the first was Earth ruler, a rightful ruler. But then when Selassie come to the Earth, the laws that Selassie write and make only apply in Ethiopia. How? So you just skip over that fact like that. So there's no law that Emperor Haile Selassie the first wrote in Ethiopia that affected any kind of law or changes in America, is what I'm saying, okay? Haile Selassie I, being crowned King of Kings and Lords of Lords and conquering line of the tribe of Judah in Ethiopia had no effect on Black people fighting for civil rights in America. Physically on the ground or anything like that. That's reality. Ethiopians draw strength from Black Americans moving, and Black Americans draw strength from Ethiopia's history and culture. It was the same way. There was nothing outshining each other. A Black American pilot, was one of the pilots that helped train Ethiopian fighters during World War II. Or during World War I. Yeah, during World War I, rather. That might have been World War II. Yeah, during the time when Ethiopia got invaded. World War II, right. So there was... These are the things this is not the nothing. This is just facts. These are just facts. Black people in America who went through slavery and Jim Crow and all these different, still going through the same shit here today. The struggle that we had here, the King of Ethiopia had no effect on no struggle here. That's what I'm saying. Outside of having inspiration, outside of being a role model for other Black people to look up to. Nobody at that time was saying he's more my role model than he is of yours. We know him more secretly than you do, and all that nonsense. Nobody was doing that. Nobody did that. Every Black person during that time was looking at His Majesty Haile Selassie in a revered light, for the simple fact of a Black man being king on the planet, because you only had at that time these white kings and shit like that. And Ethiopia being the cradle of civilization. Black people, but then some people come in and say, I'm going to take it a step further than that, because we really know him. We know him more than you do. This type of stuff. And some people don't see it as that, though, because they're living in two different realities. So that's what I'm saying. I just wanted to understand. I'm saying this. Imagine the people who was in invite Rastafari to their house, or Haile Selassie the first to their house. Like, what would they offer him to eat? What would they? What kind of music would they play for him? These are, what I'm saying. I want to personalize this thing and bring this thing down to earth. Nobody got no answer to stuff like that, because this stuff got to be better. It's better off in the skylarking type of way, in a mindful type of way. It's better off that way. Same thing with black people, black Americans sing gospel music. They sing these songs to this person, and they sing into these songs to themselves. And they sing these songs to others, but they really actually think they're talking to somebody else. And talking about they love this thing. Like, and it's the same thing. Both sides. It's the same thing both ways. The same shit like that. Nobody want to put themselves in that. Nobody actually thought that stuff through and say, well, damn, okay, I'm going to sit down with this thing called the creator that made all life on the planet and think that somehow that I don't get it, man. You know, when it, you know, but it's obvious already. It's already obvious in your everyday life. It's obvious in your everyday life that you don't need to know how much the sun weighs and why water is wet, and a lot of this different stuff like that. You don't, I mean, but the things you do know, if you're hungry, you know, you eat. If you wet, you know, you get dry. Or, you know what I'm saying, if you're cold, you want some heat. That's the stuff that you know. I mean, you got all the stuff like that. It's some other stuff you. Those are certain things that you know. Every other thing is a coping mechanism. From the direct effect of slavery.
Even Ambassador Jasmine Rowe, she was instrumental. She was a part of the support of Abiy in the Tigray war. And when I hear she has said nothing, you know, what kind of title you wearing, Ambassador Jasmine Rowe and Shashamani? What kind of title you are wearing that you cannot put a delegation together and go and sit down with that Prime Minister of Ethiopia and tell him to behave himself and end the conflict? 147 people them go from house to house in one of the village and murdered, and then their body were dumped into mass grave by Abiy's military. So Ruben Kush, Dawek, Ambassador Jasmine Rowe, all in Rastagasa, what you they do? What you do? Because not found out they get contract from the government, so they lock on the mouth up there, no. Yeah, you keep me afraid for dead for this righteous cause? Yeah? One and I come send no threat to me and come tell you this, no, my gun no left my hip. And when me I go did it with me. All right.
Yesterday. Enlist.
Yeah, man, in the 2020 war, Ambassador Jasmine Rowe, enough of you wanna get singers to sing song in support of the government. I was one of them who was defending the Prime Minister, but I didn't put out my all. Like you people from in the Federation, 12 Tribe of Israel members, right? Towards the government with the TPLF, because I am against the TPLF because them a traitor Ethiopia and them sell out Ethiopia. So I'm not with no TPLF, right? I would support the Tigray people, the innocent people from crime and genocide against humanity from the Abiy's military and the TPLF, right? And so much artists she get to sing in support. So the bomber clot now, you know, sit down out of Shashamani pound a big old backside and do nothing right now. To defend the cause, to end the bloodshed up there in Amhara. I don't hear much people are dead. So that means to say, well, I don't know a traitor. So Jasmine Rowe, you're one of the traitor too. So you fly the Abageda flag, go and fly. You don't do make me hear so I know fly the Lion of Judah flag out there, you know. Because I know a traitor, you see enough I know upon the land grant. Anytime the government change, everyone I know going to come off of there. Me not ask you, I tell you so you better start sell one you can sell and pack one you can pack from now. Because you are sell your house. You Ambassador Jasmine Rowe want 160,000 for your house. So you sell Shashamani land to woman. Una traitor against the throne of Ethiopia, that me I tell you no. Because you not defend a righteous cause. You tell the Prime Minister to end the war and the bloodshed with the Amhara people and cry peace. We need Ethiopia to return to peace. You not traitor. Me not afraid of no, you know. Send no bad man come. Because me have to me them to, you know, wait for you know. And me tell you no, my gun no left me hip. Because me a bad girl too. If you no bad, me bad and one on shut up in the mouth out of Shashamani out there. No get to the head. Pop off. Because you are evil. You no fly the Abageda flag out there and don't fly the Lion of Judah flag. You no traitor.
Good afternoon, good evening, good night, world. This is the Rastafari International Ambassador, the man from Buzzwalk, JahBunny, with his garment dipped in blood. Today, I'm gonna present history as I find it. There's a saying that the world is divided in two, those that know and those that don't. As
Good afternoon, Black family.
yes, my good brother Marpenzi, I've been asking some very thought-provoking question. I would like to make a disclaimer. This is the runaway slave platform. And as such, all my escapee slave brothers and sisters is free to utter and question anything that they desire to question. Now, Brother Marpenzi had made it clear that he is on the Pan-African platform. And as a Pan-Africanist, he's posing the questions that he posed and need answers. Now, JahBunny is on the Pan-African platform, and I personally share the questions that my good brother Marpenzi have been asking. Because we need answer. Sometime last year, on a Sunday morning, I get up and I had posed a question. I had posed a question that bring any God that you call upon, come to I, and make me back me evidence. I ask him the question them, what the Marpenzi I ask. And when me cock and fire that, I want to make my gun stick. Because honestly speaking now, we need some answer. Yeah, but I like to know the same thing with Marpenzi want to know. Who is Haile Selassie favorite reggae artist? Yeah. I don't want to take it to Bob Marley. I'm favorite artist. Because don't go Bob Marley and him family, Mr. Today, look like them past boss. Because I don't see nothing go on for Dennis Brown. By the way, today is Dennis Emmanuel Brown birthday. And as such, I will be putting down a musical tribute in a minute to the icon. Yeah, JahBunny, I go do that. But, like I said, that's music. So I'll be playing some music for my brother Dennis. But outside of that, I don't want no one come on the platform now and I come try to bully me and tell me, say me as Ras ambassador, I should not play my brother Marpens and I should not promote certain things. I am not here promoting anything. We are just asking reality question. And if you don't have any answer to the question, then take for yourself. If you don't like the question, take for yourself. Simple as that. That's how we're there. So, I'm going to wait for some answer. And until that time, keep it like now, because I'm going to play a little tribute now to Dennis.